into a nice, easy seated pose. Feeling the sit bones into the ground. Feeling the crown making its way up towards the sky. Pull the shoulders up towards the ears. Back towards the back. And slide them down towards the ground. Slide the shoulders forward. Slide the shoulders up. Slide the shoulders back. Slide the shoulders down. Slide the shoulders up. Slide the shoulders forward. Slide the shoulders down. And feeling yourself just landing here in this space, in this time, in this moment. Is neither the future nor the past. It's just this moment right here. Connecting into the ground, lifting the heart, pulling the chin back, lifting the crown, pulling the shoulders back, opening the chest. Inhale, chest and belly rise. Exhale, chest and belly fall. Inhale, chest and belly rise. Exhale, chest and belly fall. Softening the shoulders, softening the face. Inhaling, chest and belly rising. Exhale, chest and belly falling. And begin to just breathe in a nice steady stream, like oil pouring from a lamp. Maybe engaging a little bit of ujjayi, just a slight constriction at the back of the throat. A little soft constriction at the back of the throat, creating a little ocean sounding breath. Like a sound of when you put your ear up to a seashell. Just softening the shoulders some more, lengthening the spine a little bit more, chin back, crown up. So you're really finding that really open posture. So it feels strong and steady, and at the same time it's relaxed. So the shoulders are relaxed, the face is relaxed, the thighs are relaxed. The spine, though, is elongated. So there's a little string pulling your crown up. And just feel yourself settling into this posture a little bit more. Becoming more and more present. Noticing the breath flowing in and out, nice and steady. Face relaxes, shoulders relax. Just watching the breath, watching the posture, watching sensation. Turn your palms to face up. Pull the shoulders back. Open the chest a little bit more. Come into Gyan Mudra, index fingers to your thumb. Pull your shoulders back, lengthen up through the crown. Now bring your right hand up to your nose and cover your right nostril with your right thumb. And just begin to breathe deeply through the left nostril. Same breath, just breathing through the left nostril. It's called Chandra Veda. Staying with that ujjayi, that slight constriction. Long, deep breaths through the left nostril. This creates a calming and cooling effect. Softening the shoulders, softening the face, lengthening the spine. Inhale through the left nostril. Flip the hand over, cover the left nostril with the pinky, exhale out through the right nostril. It's nice and steady. Inhale through the right nostril. Flip the hand over, cover the right nostril with the thumb, exhale left nostril. Keep the spine elongated, shoulders back, chin back, crown up. Face relaxed, shoulders relaxed, thighs relaxed. Inhale through the left. Flip the hand over, cover the left, exhale right. Empty, 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 empty. Begin again, inhale. Flip the right hand over, cover the right, exhale left. Inhale left. When you get to the top, hold the breath. Release your right hand down, Gyan Mudra, index fingers to thumb. Pull the shoulders and chin back, lengthen up. Gently engage root lock, pull up towards the crown. Bring your right hand back up, cover your left nostril, exhale out through the right nostril. Inhale right. Hold at the top. Right hand comes back down onto your thigh. Middle finger to your thumb. Shunya Mudra. Pull the chin back. Lengthen up to the crown. Shoulders back. Chest open. Engage root lock. Right hand comes back up. Cover the right nostril. Exhale out left nostril. Inhale left. Hold at the top, right hand comes down, Gyan Mudra, index finger to thumb, pull the shoulders, pull the chin, gently engage root lock, pull up towards the crown. Right hand comes up, cover the left nostril, exhale out right nostril. Inhale right. Hold, engage, right hand comes down, Gyan Mudra, index finger to thumb, pull the shoulders, pull the chin, lengthen up through the crown. Right hand comes back up, cover the right nostril, exhale out left nostril. Inhale up. Hold at the top, right hand comes down, Gyan Mudra, index finger to thumb, shoulders, chin back, crown up, gently engage root lock. Right hand comes back up, cover the left nostril, exhale out right nostril. Inhale right. Hold, right hand comes down, Shunya Mudra, middle finger to thumb, pull the shoulders, pull the chin, lengthen up to the crown, chin lock, root lock. Right hand comes back up, cover the right nostril, exhale out left. Inhale left. Hold at the top, chin lock, root lock, gently pull up, right hand comes down, Gyan Mudra. Right hand comes back up, cover the left nostril, exhale out right nostril. Inhale right nostril. Hold, gently engage, right hand comes down, stay in Gyan Mudra. Pull the shoulders, pull the chin, lengthen up. Exhale, softly release through both nostrils. And just let the breath return to normal. Step back into the witness. Watching, observing, noticing the sensations in the body. See if you can just step back. There might be a little discomfort, a little place where there's a little holding going on. Just see if you can soften around that. Try not to fidget. Try not to change anything. Just notice how the sensation might change on its own. Seldom does a particular sensation last more than about 10 seconds. Everything is changing. Everything's coming into being. Everything's leaving, going. Everything's coming. Everything's going. We sit back in the center, watching it all. Watching it come. Watching it go. Watching it come. Thoughts, emotions, sensations. Watching it go. Come back to the witness, come back to the observer. Come back to the soft wave of the breath. Taking a deep inhale. Hold, suspend, chin lock, root lock, pulling it up. Exhale out through the mouth forcefully. Inhale, raise the arms up. Hold the breath, wiggle the fingers. Exhale, blow the air out. One more time, inhale. Hold it, now shake the arms. Shake the whole body. Shake, 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 shake. And now exhale, slowly release. Sweep the arms out through the auric field. Take your time, feel, watch, notice, allow, feel, watch, notice, allow. Just allow yourself to just sit in this space, this open space. I'm just going to read a little bit right here. The jewel of Aparigraha invites us to enjoy life to the fullest, and yet always be able to drop everything and run into the waiting arms of the divine. If we prefer to play with our toys, we are missing the point. Aparigraha, or non-possessiveness, can also be interpreted as non-attachment, non-greed, non-clinging, non-grasping, non-coveting. We can simply think of it as being able to let go. The sadhus of India recognized how easy it is to become attached to things. They spend most of their time in the forests, away from any temptation, and might become more interesting to them than their companionship with divinity. Although this is an extreme example, it shows one way of staying free of the prison of possessiveness. What if we could trust life like we trust our breath? What if we could take in all the nourishment of the moment and then let it go fully, trusting that more nourishment will come? Just like each breath gives us nourishment, so does life in the form of homes, work, relationship, routines, beliefs, stances, images of ourselves. There is nourishment until we get attached to these things, often unconsciously, and then disturb ourselves with expectations, opinions, criticism, disappointments, all because we forget to trust life. Exhale and let go. Like the breath, when it is held too long, things that nourish can become toxic. Aparigraha invites us to practice the divine play, experience full intimacy and contact with the moment, and then let go so the next thing can come. It is how our competency grows and how we become more of who we are. The nature of our Aparigraha is impermanence. Everything changes. Nothing stays the same. If we can fall back to the breath and watch the belly rise and fall with each inhalation and exhalation, we can feel the truth of the transience of all things. That's a good start. So, how's everybody today? Everybody okay? We're kind of hanging in there this week, with our election. I think, as I was saying earlier this week, I just found it incredible that the coincidence, I didn't plan this, that the coincidence of teaching this lesson, of exploring this lesson of Aparigraha would happen this week, right? And when we have this election going on, and and combined with that, we have this whole stuff. I don't know how many of you got that. I got an email warning from the state today about coronavirus. I don't know what list I'm on somewhere, but so there's a lot going on in our greater world right now, and then you drop in, let's just drop this little lesson into this time, right? And how incredible that lesson is, and how we can see so clearly, at least I can anyways, I imagine you can too, how our attachment to things and things being a certain way or certain outcomes, it's not so much that they're changing, it's our attachment to them that's causing the suffering, that's causing the pain. I mean, I go for a walk. I've been doing a lot of walks this week, thank goodness. And and it's beautiful. It's like unbelievable, you know. And so she talks about that a little bit. She alludes to that with the sadhus in India off in the woods. Well, there's a reason they went off in the woods, because you're connecting into that divine energy. The divine energy is way closer. It's tangible. It's right there. And if you get present, you're in it. And it's when we get caught up in external stuff, or things, how things are gonna be, and what other people are doing and what they're saying, and it's just it becomes a pretty quick nightmare, you realize. So anyways, rather than me talk too much more here at the beginning, because we can dive more into this teaching, but it's such a straightforward teaching, such a sort of like, I think we can see whether we're doing it or not. But I would like to hear how you guys are doing this week, and also just how you feel about this lesson. Like, what's your initial feelings about it? So anybody who would like to chime in or add anything about either how they're doing this week, or what your kind of initial response to this lesson is, I'd love to hear from you. Somebody's coming in.
Yeah.
Denise and Barbara both want to say something. So one of you go first. Yeah.
Go, Barbara.
Oh, this week, actually, I didn't feel the big drama that I thought I would feel. And I think part of that was probably being more present with what we're reading right now, and taking a step back, really taking a step back to non-attachment. And I voted about 3 weeks ago by absentee ballot. So it wasn't that I was going to have to drag myself off to the polls. I did it. So, and then I thought to myself, well, I'm not going to get involved with watching every newscast, trying to find out with your fingers crossed, just going crazy with every county that comes in like we did last time. I mean, by 9 o'clock on Tuesday in 2016, I knew it was over. When Pennsylvania came in for the current president. And I have kind of held myself back from all of that. Last night was the first time I watched maybe half an hour, and that was sufficient. I probably watched 10 minutes this morning, and that's sufficient. I'm not getting involved in the drama because I can't change anything. I can't change it. So I'm not going to cause myself to worry and hold on to the result because the votes are cast. So I think that is my way of, coming to terms with, and I can't pronounce the word. What is it? How do you pronounce it?
Aparigraha.
That. I think that's my way of coming to grips with that, is going, okay, and this is a term I really don't like when people say it is what it is. It's like, no, I don't like that term, but it kind of is what it is,
Yep.
Well, you can't change any of this. And Barbara, what's cool, what you're saying is, I'm not the least bit fazed by this election. I don't get caught up in the drama at all. I went to the polls in Weston. I voted, big deal. I went, I came, I have other things going on that kind of are taking precedence. And I love this letting go. This is what it's all about. I go out to the driveway. I have a very long driveway to get the mail. And Greg, as you were saying, get outside. A simple walk to get my mail, and I am right there with you. I'm in the woods. I'm looking at the falling leaves, my favorite song, by the way, if you remember. And there's no need to cling to all this junk and going on, because it's not going to help you. I just think, let things fall where they fall. And Barbara, 100%. And there's so much drama out there, the social media, people are they're out of their own control. I can tell how people are, they can't, it's been days and they still are, I can't believe it. I'm thinking, so do something else. Let it go, right? This is like a delightful week, which I know I did say to somebody, I know I'm different. So I'm not going to apologize. It's just how I handle it.
Mhm.
Thanks, Denise. Anyone else want to add anything to how their week's been?
Well, do it.
Go ahead, Clarice.
I don't think I'm in the right place here.
I can hear you.
Oh, you just turned yourself off, Clarice. All right. If you don't want to add anything right now, that's okay.
I did want to add. Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yes.
I can hear you now.
Yeah, I'm just amazed. Well, first of all, I love this book. Like you said, couldn't have come at a better time. It's almost, it's kind of ridiculous that I don't know when it was written or how long. Well, these things go back a long way, but how perfect and timely they are for right now. And I'm so happy that we're doing this, because I realize that in a lot of uncertainty, I still remain peaceful. And that was never the case for me. It was more, if something wasn't right on the outside, I would be, profoundly disturbed on the inside. And now there's a lot going on the outside that is disturbing, but I'm at peace. So I'm extremely grateful that we're doing all this work, and that I have you as a teacher and these groups and the readings. Anyway,
Yeah.
That's it. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for that. Let's see, I'll add a few more things on to what you guys have just said, because I think it's a really good snapshot of kind of what we're all going through right now. And, when you layer on the pandemic, I mean, we pretty much spoke about the election today, and then you layer on some of the economic uncertainty related to the pandemic. It's just a lot. It's a lot of extra. It's a bigger storm than we're used to. We're used to handling things to a certain amount, but right now there's an extra amount of uncertainty, and so that's stressful for all of us. But to your point, Clarice, I'm not exactly sure when Deborah Adele wrote this book either, but the Yamas and the Niyamas have been around for a long time, and I think sometimes one of the things that's really cool to think about is, basically Patanjali, who is the source of the Yamas and the Niyamas from the Yoga Sutras, which were almost certainly before that in the Vedas, right? So they came in the Yogic Vedas, which are like 3,000 or 4,000 years old. But Patanjali came around 2,500 years ago. And then you've got Lao Tzu, and you've got Confucius, and you've got Jesus. They all showed up basically within about a 500-year span. And you have to sort of think about why did all these masters show up in different parts of the world at around the same time. Not exactly the same time, but around the same time. And it's almost certainly because society needed it, that humanity was starting to get organized in terms of serious like cities and and that kind of stuff, and it was just really difficult. I mean, poverty, people coming together, disease, mayhem, plagues. I mean, this stuff was happening all the time, and so it was really, really difficult. Life was super hard for almost everybody, and so they needed these teachings to get through. And so these masters, I mean, they were masters beforehand, but this whole codification of these teachings and the fact that they're so similar from different parts of the world and different places really sort of says something about where humanity and civilization was at 2,000, 2,500 years ago. And in some ways, we're there, you know, I'm not trying to put us in, you know, compare one to the other, apples to apples here, but we're in some ways going through some of that right now. And not just in this country, but obviously in the world as a whole. We are, you know, at 8 to 9 billion people, and we're kind of all here trying to figure out our way. And obviously the social media and everything else is kind of hyperbolizing and speeding things up. And so, yeah, we're in this place where we need these teachings again, and we need, I mean, we've always needed them, but we're in a place of needing them even more so, both individually and collectively. You know, I was thinking of a couple of things. One is one of the big takeaways that I took from this election is that, you know, one of the little phenomena in the midst of it is this cancel culture stuff. I don't know if you guys have heard about that, but it's basically about if you're on one side or the other side is completely wrong, you know, and so you're basically just try to vilify the other side and just say that they're illegitimate in some way. And you can see how this happens on both sides. So the left side, the right side can both be doing this quite a bit. And if you go dive into social media at all, you'll see it. Well, you think about it, what's happened is tolerance has become unacceptable. And you can see how there's a quandary in that very statement, right? There's a conundrum in if you're putting tolerance and unacceptable in the same sentence, you've got a quandary to begin with. And so we have to find a way as humans to break that quandary, right? To break that dichotomy. And how we do it again is to go back to these lessons. Why is ahimsa the first lesson? There's a reason why ahimsa is the first lesson. Why is satya the second lesson? Why is this, you know, the truth? Why is asteya, which has to do with not taking, and trust, the third? Why is brahmacharya, sacredness, the divine, the fourth? And how is aparigraha, non-clinging, letting go, the fifth? These five kind of precepts, and we're going to add to them as we go into the niyamas, really kind of give us a foundation to live by, not only for ourselves, obviously, but then as we can embody them more, we show others there's a possibility. Mm-hmm. This fifth one, aparigraha, is kind of the capstone of it's sort of like the cap that puts like, okay, we're going to move to the observations after this, but it's such a big one because you can just see how we cling to certain things and to certain things working out a certain way, and it's very hard for us to shift or to kind of slow down. I mean, one of the things we all talked about early in this pandemic is slowing down, is taking kind of a longer exhale, right, to sort of just let go and slow down. And even, you know, there were all these studies about how the environment was getting cleaner and all that kinds of stuff as we stopped driving around quite so much. But now we got that kind of little break over the summer, and we've speeded back up again, and now those expectations come along. We've gotten caught back up in the expectations. And I think part of what we're going all through right now is as we go into the holiday season, we're all feeling a little bit of remorse. I know I've been feeling it. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to see my parents in Maine during the holiday season. I'll be honest, I'm sad about that. Part of it is that attachment, right? You know, and I think it's okay, obviously, to be grieving those losses, but to also just recognize that part of it is those kind of hanging on to things the way they were and that kinds of stuff. And so most of it isn't about chastising our attachments, or because a certain amount of attachment is healthy and in the sense of just caring deeply about people and things and caring deeply about outcomes. But to notice that when things are moving in a different direction, how inflexible we can become, and how that suffering comes when we're not able to shift, when we're not able to let things go. You guys mentioned the breath once. I think the two biggest things that I find in terms of the practice of Aparigraha is the breathing and is connecting into nature, because that's like that direct line to that divinity, and we're so lucky to live in a place which is so beautiful in many ways, and we can actually go out and connect into that nature quite readily. And so I think I was telling the story earlier about how I went for this long walk the day after the election, and by myself, and I noticed after a while how my breathing had automatically started to elongate. It started to kind of, the breath that we were just doing with that kind of long deep inhale and extended exhale, nice and steady breath. Well, that started to happen without me even really thinking about it. But what I was realizing is I was automatically kind of modulating myself, modulating my emotional state. Dealing with that ambiguity of the election and everything else that's going on. So the breath.
Greg, what you were saying, what we started with, and this lesson is dealing with the holidays, Thanksgiving. It is a sad time to know we can't be getting together with the family members and dear friends and people that really need that togetherness. But this is a that I try to explain to family members that we can't see. It's temporary. It's not going to be this way next year. It's just right now we have to deal with it. But the problem is not everybody can understand that. They don't understand what we are here as a group, at least I find with those that I'm talking to. And this isn't going to last forever.
No, nothing lasts forever. So,
no,
and this is one of the things that's not going to last forever.
Right. But people have that attitude of, oh my God, where am I going to go? What am I going to do? I'm like, relax.
Right.
Breathe.
How about going nowhere? Right.
Yes. And it's sad that you can't maybe go to Maine. Maybe you will, who knows? But if you can't go, you're going to be okay. It's just, yeah. So how do we
think like that's a really good example of again just recognizing the sadness of it. Like there's nothing wrong with recognizing some loss, right? That would be not normal either to not recognize some sadness and loss, but at the same time recognize you can do this simultaneously. You can recognize that the more attached I am to going to see my parents, the more suffering I'm going to create for myself. So there's this kind of like, let me recognize this loss. Let me internalize it, feel it, but not create this like, this kind of resistance to it. This kind of like, oh, well, I'm going to figure this out anyways. Or God damn it, somebody's to blame for this, or, so that's just more suffering on top of the normal amount of mourning for change or loss, and, so that's that kind of how we do this consciously. How do we kind of allow things to change? It doesn't mean we don't have feelings. We're definitely going to have feelings, but just recognize that we can exacerbate those feelings or we can modulate those feelings. And so, this is an incredible tool because not only obviously we're using it right now in regards to the pandemic and the election, but it shows up in everything, right? It shows up in all of our relationships. Every single relationship we have of any consequence at all has this dynamic going on in it where we want the other person to show up the way we want them to show up. This is just kind of, again, in our nature. And when they don't, we get a little tweaked, and, and then we're like, okay, what am I doing with this tweak? And again, I talked about this before. We try several different methods to try to get them back in line with our movie, right? Or maybe we try being nice to them and charming to them and try to convince them with some reward or something like that to get in line. And then I said, if that doesn't work, then we usually resort to being bitchy in some way. We'll chastise them and until they comply. But wouldn't it be just so much easier and nicer if we just said, oh, they don't want to go to the movies with me? Nobody's going to the movies, but you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying. You know, they don't want to do this. Okay, fine. Let me move on. Let me take a breath and release and move on. And don't create this story of this person is not fulfilling my movie, and so I didn't like them. And you know, it's why do whole stuff. So this tool, this Aparigraha, it's a really key. It's kind of where the rubber meets the road in many ways. This is where all those other yamas that we were just working with, right, starts to kind of show up. It starts to sort of say, okay, how attached to outcomes, people, things am I, and is that a healthy attachment? Because there is a certain amount of healthy attachment, or is that an unhealthy attachment? And when it's unhealthy, it's like that's when it's sort of coming out in ways which are passive aggressive, manipulative, beating ourselves up. Often we beat ourselves up. We go back to ahimsa again, right? It's not working out the way I would like it to. Oh, there must be something wrong with me, right? I'll put my hand up for that. I've done that a bunch of times. That's not healthy either, and so it's like we have to go back to, no, this is like everything is ebbing and flowing. The tide is coming in, the tide is going out, regardless of what I do. As you were saying, regardless of what I do, the tide's coming in, the tide's going out. I can't sit there in the tide and say, okay, can you just hold back for a little while? It's not gonna work.
But Greg, do you not find sometimes in life that it's an all or nothing kind of a day? Suddenly everything piles on at one time, or everything is just fantastic at one time, or suddenly everything piles in on you and it's trying to get beyond the pile up of the not so nice feelings.
I think I know what you mean, that there's, I've definitely experienced feelings of overwhelmness many times in this pandemic. Okay. And, and that's a kind of feeling of one thing on top of another. And I just, I start to feel a little overwhelmed or in some way, shape, or it might not be practical, but it could be emotional, something going on. I've felt it quite a few times during this pandemic. And it's so interesting because I can't help but compare 2020 to 2019, which many of you know, 2019 was a kind of like a stellar year for me. It was just, I was traveling around the world and doing international retreats and all kinds of cool and groovy stuff. And this year, not so much. And so, but when I'm spending any time comparing like that, I'm actually out of the present moment. I'm not being present with what is. I'm trying to kind of like in some way get back to, or I'm remorseful, or something lamenting. It's all tied into some not being present thing. And how can I really just keep relaxing into this time? This time is part of our evolution. There's this, I'll be honest with you, what I think, if it weren't for this pandemic, which we're all pretty upset about, Donald Trump would definitely be president again. So, there's stuff going on in the universe that is, shifting stuff around, and we have to sort of say, well, okay, how am I supposed to ride this wave rather than try to stop the wave? And again, when I say ride the wave, we may be completely incompetent. I remind myself of like myself surfing, right? It's like you're just, got sand in your shorts and you've got water up your nose, but you're just trying to figure it out, right? And and so that's what we're all doing right now. We're all saying, okay, this is a wave. This is an unfamiliar wave. Some good things are happening and some challenging things are happening. And so how do we use our practices, to help us learn how to ride this wave and to get the, what we can out of it, get what we're meant to learn out of it. And I do think that there's a lot of good things that are going to be a result of this, even though I'm not saying there's lots of pain still as well going to come of it. You know, so yeah, we're in the midst of it, my friends, and I think this lesson of Aparigraha is really just here to help us navigate this time and to be present and to still have, you know, have our desires, right? You know, our desires right here, but we're not clinging too tightly. You know, I bet you for all of us, right? Look at Thanksgiving coming up. We can all make some experience that is meaningful out of it. We can all find a way to give thanks for ourselves and for each other, even if we're not able to gather together the way we would like, you know. And yes, we can be sad about that, and I think that that's perfectly appropriate to be sad about it. But at the same time, how do we make something meaningful out of this moment? What do we have to be thankful for? We always have something to be thankful for, always. And so how do we create some maybe new ritual around that brings us meaning that may be very different from the way, I mean, we are these creatures of patterns and habits, some of them good, some of them maybe not so good. And so how do we maybe create a different pattern slightly that we learn from? We learn about, okay, what am I really thankful for? How can I give thanks for that in a different way? And that then expands us. We now grow because of that. You know, we grow because we're finding new ways of being grateful. So.
Well, Greg, I think also, I don't know if it was in this part of the book or in one of the other parts of the book, that the exhale is as important as the inhale.
I think that that's really well said. I actually think the exhale is more important than the inhale.
Yes.
I've done a lot of experiment with, as you guys know, with like breath work and stuff like that. And I find, you know, so there's some breath work where you hold the breath on the inhale and you kind of like pull in and up and hold. And I actually find the exhale, when we hold out on the exhale, there's something way more deep for me going on. This is not true for everybody. Some people feel more stuff coming up and things happening on the inhale breath. I tend to feel more movement, more kind of things happening on the exhale breath. And the exhale is this sense of letting go. It's this sense of releasing. It's you know, in the tantric theory, there's a raising, there's the waxing of the energy, and then the waning of the energy. And both, we need both. We cannot, I mean, again, we can't breathe without exhaling, right? So we can't, in a way, fully enjoy something without also being willing to let it go. And, you know, I'll just give another example of that. I've visited friends who I don't get to see that often, right? And we'll have a really good time together or whatever, or maybe we just hang out together or whatever. But the most poignant moment of the whole time comes when I'm leaving, right? The most poignant moment, I mean, often I'll kind of well up in tears right when I'm leaving. And what is going on with that, right? That's that exhale. That exhale is happening. And the beauty, the most beautiful part, even though there's like mixture of sadness and everything, is on the exhale. It's on the I'm leaving right now. And, you know, that kind of like, you know, there'll be an in-breath at some point, but I don't know when it's going to be kind of thing, you know? And so, but there's a kind of poignancy in the departure that is actually quite different than the arrival. Yes, the arrival is nice. And again, pre-COVID, there was all the hugs and everything. And
well, there's a lot of joy in that beginning.
But actually, for me, and again, maybe I'm strange, the most beautiful and poignant moment is in the departure, is in the leaving.
And rarely do you have tears in the beginning in your scenario because you are so full of joy and exultation and I've experienced what you have. And Denise, why are you crying? I'm not welling up because I'm never going to see you again. It's just, it is that departure, 100%. And
it's the exhale. That's the exhale. Now, I have had a couple of moments. I'll just tell you one that was really sweet. So I did my first teacher training at Kripalu, and I went back there about a year afterwards. And one of the women that I had become close friends with during my training was there working as a volunteer. And we saw each other in the cafeteria, which has like 500 people in it, right? So, and we came together and we hugged, and we had one of those kind of long, like maybe a little too long hugs, and we were both crying, and people are kind of just looking, smiling, watching that thing. But what we realized in that moment, we tapped in to this, month-long experience that we had shared together that was so profound. In that moment, it was like a sutra. We like tied back in to not just seeing each other, but that whole profound opening experience that we had shared together. And so, yeah, it can happen either way, right? But you're often tapping into something greater than yourself in those moments. And those are profound moments where we realize something else is going on besides just two people coming together, right? Or two people partying. And that's really kind of where divinity comes in. There's something else. It's like we're tapping into some other source. But you have to have the departure. We couldn't have had that moment of reconnection in a way unless we'd had the departure in order to come back together again, right? And so this is the nature of all things. And so it's kind of just being able to accept and embrace this ebb and flow of everything, of every relationship that we have, even when we're together all the time. I know, some people have had long-term partnerships, and, it's never a linear path, it's always up and down, and over time, deeper and deeper things start to happen. And so that's, if we're lucky, right? We just keep kind of bringing it back to, how do I keep opening myself up to the divine? That's that brahmacharya. Brahmacharya is really the practice of opening ourselves up to divinity and doing some of the things. And even in there, right, it talks about abstinence, and talks about actually stepping back away from what we love in order to actually make it divine, make it more pure in a way. And anybody else like to add anything before we kind of start to wrap up? I'll try to give us a couple more things to end on here. There is nourishment until we get attached to things, often unconsciously, and then disturb ourselves with expectations, opinions, criticism, disappointments, all because we forget to trust life, exhale, and let go. Like the breath when it is held too long, things that nourish us become toxic. Let's see. Pack lightly for the journey. This is the quote that I had in the newsletter. Strip yourself to raw nakedness and vulnerability. This is the invitation of non-possessiveness. Are we up for the journey? What if we woke up every morning and took nothing with us? What if that was the whole point? What if we unpacked our way to God, unpacked our way to freedom, unpacked our way to being? Like the breath, we are invited to breathe in deeply, enjoy the fullness of the inhalation, and then let go, just as deeply and fully, enjoying the release of the exhale. The fewer attachments we carry with us, the more we are free to enjoy and engage and live every moment before us to the fullest. The more breath we let go of, the more room there is in our body for the fullness of the next inhalation. The more we generously share and give away, the more expansive and light we become. The journey of life is towards freedom. A bird cannot hold its perch and fly. Neither can we grasp and be free. Love is what is left when you let go of all the things you love. This is, these lessons, as you go deeper with them, they get more and more challenging. I mean, obviously, the more we care for something, or the more we care about the outcome, the harder it is to set them free. But we can realize how we can get trapped in that, and that loving something genuinely is, again, allowing it to go its own way, allowing it to make its own way. And we're in kind of a dance with it, where the person goes and the person comes, and then we allow that to happen. And believe me, I know how challenging this is, but I also know that, like Ram Dass said, the more you have an agenda with somebody, the more on a subtle level that person will be defensive. You're in a kind of what they would call a slightly lower level game. You're in this game of a kind of negotiation. Are you going to meet my needs? Am I going to meet your needs? But you're on this kind of material plane of needs rather than the ethereal plane of needs, which is way more spacious, way more like, how do we both help each other become free, become enlightened, become the person that we can most become, and so that's where it gets really interesting, is when we can start to recognize the difference and keep opening ourselves up to that gift, to that teacher, right?
Mhm.
And so, wow, let's just take a moment to sit with that and feel our sit bones into the ground again. Feel our crown up towards the sky. Just softening into the moment. And maybe there's a kind of little bit of moment of tenderness. I'm feeling it right now. Maybe you are too, of just, how scary it can be to let go. How vulnerable that can be to let go. And how there's that kind of, almost like that little girl, that little boy starts to come out, and they're kind of afraid, and can we just be compassionate with that? Say, it's okay. It's okay. You're gonna be okay. You can do it. You can be free. You can be your divine self, and it's gonna be okay. Maybe we can rest in that for just a moment of letting ourselves feel that trepidation, letting us feel that fear or that scariness of letting go. And just hold ourselves like that child, that little boy, that little girl inside us. Just allow it. Be with it. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I am at peace with myself as I am. I am at peace with myself as I am. I am at peace with myself as I am. The world as it is, and others as they are. I am at peace with myself as I am. The world as it is, and others as they are. I am at peace with myself as I am, and the world as it is, and others as they are. Bringing the palms together, thumbs lightly touching the sternum, pull the shoulders back, crown up. Take a deep inhale. Exhale, let it go with a sigh. Inhale. Oh. All that is sacred and divine in me bows to you and honors all that is